Well, got some bad news on the dedicated. I'll share that with you in a moment. Just got that bad news just now because this video I was thinking of was not going to be about the dedicated. I'm going to tell you about the my truck going into the shop and what an F-fest that was. Anyways, I get home on Thursday, or to the shop on Thursday, to drop the truck off. I drop it off about, I don't know, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And as expected, they're not going to work on it that day, which I didn't expect them to. They said they'll get on it on Friday. So I've talked to the service writer before I even took it to them, and I told her, okay, I've got a couple issues going on. I've got an oil leak in the upper part of the engine valve cover wire harness area. I've got radar that is only acting up in cooler weather, and it's very intermittent, but once it starts acting up, it acts up. It keeps slamming the brakes on and telling me there's 0 feet in front of the truck. Now, I've been having this problem for a long time, and I keep getting told that if we can't reproduce the problem, there's nothing we can do about it. You know, but we're going to charge you X amount of dollars to diagnose it. I said, I want to try to avoid that. You know, there's no point in test driving the truck because that's not going to do anything. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for you guys to open up a tech support claim, or whatever you guys call it at Freightliner. I need you to get Freightliner tech support involved and tell them what it's doing. I got video of it doing it, because it's not giving error codes and you guys are not able to fix it. You've checked the wiring, you've said the wiring's good, and yada, yada, yada. But yet I have this problem. So I also asked them, well, you know what? Can we just turn the radar off? Nope, you can't turn it off. It's part of the Freightliner assurance system, which is a safety system. So, of course, I looked at the guy with these eyes. Safety system, but you're telling me you can't fix it, and it's slamming my brakes on, which is not safe. And you can't disconnect it because it's not safe to be disconnected. All right, you definitely need to let me know what tech support says. But I got ahead of myself. I drop it off, and tell her about that. And also about the noise in the dash, that creaking noise. So I had her get in the truck and listen to it, and she confirmed she hears it. She goes, yep, I'll tell the technician about it, and I'll also tell the technician about the radar. So she says, you should hear from us Friday, worst case Saturday. So Friday comes and goes. Saturday comes. I start calling the place. No answer, no answer, no answer. They're only open until 2 o'clock on Saturday. It's the Beaumont freightliner. I figured I'd try Beaumont instead of Houston. It's 100 miles closer to my house. 50 miles closer, whatever it is. So couldn't get a hold of him on Saturday. So Monday morning, I get a hold of some guy, and he's like, yeah, Allison's not here right now, but let me see what they did. Okay, yeah, they went ahead. They went ahead and fixed they're working on the oil leak. They're replacing wire harness, valve cover, gasket, boom, boom, boom. So the fact that they didn't give me any estimate made me think it's getting done under warranty, which is fine. He goes, as far as the radar goes, they checked the wiring and everything and took it for a test drive, and it's not, it's working fine. I told him, I said, no, not supposed to be test driving it because that's a waste of time. It's not going to act up. It takes hundreds of miles for it to act up. I talked to Allison, but he goes, well, we had to test drive it anyways to make sure the oil leak was fixed. I said, okay. And then he said, the noise in the dash, we're not hearing any noise. Well, Allison heard the noise, and she knows how to make it produce the noise. All you got to do is get in the truck, key off, and close the door, and it'll start making the noise instantly. Oh, that's the other thing. They test drove it to listen for the noise. So I talked to him. He said, okay, blah, 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 blah. Give me a couple hours. Couple hours goes by, 2, 3, 4 hours. I call, Allison's there now, and I tell her what's going on, and she's like, look, I wrote down everything I told you I wrote down. They're not, reading the notes or whatever, blah, blah, blah. We'll go ahead and I'll talk to them. Okay, so when are you going to get back to me? I'll call you 9 o'clock Tuesday morning when I come in and find out what the results were. So 9 o'clock comes, 10 o'clock comes, 11 o'clock comes. I talk to a different guy. Allison's not there. She's out sick. And of course, they're not hearing the noise in the dash and the radar. They took it for another test drive, nothing. So I explained to him, no test drive, to open a tech support claim on it. Well, we can't. If there's no error code, we can't call tech support. Isn't that what tech support's for? Is to help you resolve weird issues with a vehicle? Somebody's got to know what to do when the radar is telling you there's 0 feet in front of you and it's slamming the brakes on. I go, it's just common sense. Somebody's got to know. Come on now. What about the noise? Oh, well, we didn't hear any noise, so I told him. He goes, okay, I'm going to go out there right now and listen for it. So, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, you're going to call me back? Yeah, I'll call you back before end of business today. No call back. So I call Wednesday morning, and now I'm like, look, I got to get back to work. So the guy's out on a test drive with it again. I'm like, Jesus Christ. They put like 80, 90 miles on this truck in test drives. Again, I went, so he goes, he's pulling up now. Let me see what he found. Call me back in 2 hours. So I call him back in 2 hours. Again, radar is fine. They don't hear any noise. Oh, and meanwhile, when I dropped it off, I also wanted my crankcase filter, an estimate to replace my crankcase filter. Well, they still, at this point, come Wednesday morning, haven't given me an estimate for that. They keep telling me they don't think it needs to be replaced. They have to find out what the interval is, blah, 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 blah. So I finally say, bro, look it, man. I need an estimate on the crankcase filter. And I started talking to him about the noise in the dash. He goes, well, there was a technician here, and I had it on speakerphone. We're going to go out right now and listen to that noise in the dash. So he goes out. He goes, call me back in an hour. I call him back in an hour. He says, your circuit's overloaded. He said there's something under the dash getting really super hot, and it's overloading the circuit, which is my WeBoost antenna, the antenna module. Why it was getting hot, I don't know. But this thing's done this since I first got the truck. So he basically said you need to unplug everything and then bring it back. It's like there's an on-off button for it. You can't turn the damn thing off. So at this point, I'm like, whatever. What about the estimate? He goes, well, that filter's like $400 and some dollars. So yeah, it's probably gonna be like $600. Let me look it up and see. Yada yada yada. So come 2 o'clock, I call him back. I still haven't got it. He goes, let me send it. He had my email written down wrong. So he sends it. It's $1,800 to change the crankcase filter. It was $600 in parts, $900 and some dollars in labor, plus a $200 hook up the truck to a computer fee, and $57 environmental fee, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a deal. I'll go ahead and waive the $200 computer hookup fee. It's going to take us 5 hours to change that filter. There's a $100 core charge, blah, blah. So I said, all right, let me think about that. And I call my mechanic, that local guy by my house. And he goes, well, I'm leaving the shop right now. We close at 3 o'clock today. He goes, let me get you an estimate. He goes, well, I'll tell you right now, I'll be way cheaper than they are because, you know, they're 190 an hour, I'm 115 an hour. So needless to say, he called me back, and yeah, he can get me the filters for the same price, and the sensors they want to change with it, and the gaskets and all this bullshit. And so he'll be about $1,000 roughly. Oh, and that filter's supposed to get changed at 3 years or 500,000 miles. I'm assuming I got 548 on it. I'm gonna do probably another 9,000 before I change it. I'm assuming I'll be good since I don't idle the truck. There's all that idle time that would normally be on a vehicle. That's not there. But you think somebody somewhere would have said, hey, you got this service that's going to need to be done at some point. So I pick up the truck, and they want $790. $200 for listening to the noise in the dash and diagnosing it as the circuit overloaded. $500 for looking at the radar. And it was like $60-some environmental fee. I'm like, why is the radar $500? Well, we test drove it for 2 hours and, worked on it, took it apart, blah, 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 for an hour or whatever. I'm like, you guys weren't even supposed to test drive it. I told her, and she said she was going to talk to a technician about just opening up a claim on it and not, so we didn't go through this bananas bullshit. Well, she never said anything, and he complained, and I said, well, call her at home. So he started up with, so what you're telling me is we worked on your truck and you don't want to pay us. It's like, no, that's not what I'm telling you. I believe you need to get paid, but I think it should be $190 your hour labor for looking at that radar, hour labor for looking at the noise in the dash, which I don't think they should have charged me for that. They literally just sat in here and learned to go rant, 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 rant. So, but they wanted, they're charging me for all the test driving and everything. So it was a big fuck fest. So I ended up paying a little over $400. To get a super expensive estimate. So yeah, that sucked. What are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do? I'm assuming the radar's under warranty, and that's why they don't want to do anything unless it's acting up. Because if I was paying for it out of pocket, they'd be like, "Oh, sure, we can just replace the radar, $10,000," or some shit like that. So I don't know. I guess I don't use cruise control when it's cold out, and we're talking below 70 degrees. That's gonna suck. I guess I can put a piece of tin foil over the cover and have it error code out, and then that will work. It will just blow the error code, or show the error code on the dash, and then every time you take off, it'll bloop, radar's blocked, bloop, radar's blocked. Which would be annoying, but at least I can use the cruise control, because if the radar gets blocked on this truck, it lets me use the cruise control still. It's just not active braking and all that. So I don't know, what'd you guys do? Oh, I almost forgot to tell you guys about the dedicated. So I get an email this morning, and the one location for the dedicated is not always going to be a drop and hook. And if it's a live unload, there's no exceptions. The problem with that is this particular place, when I was loading at it there before I was on this particular dedicated and I was on the other dedicated, getting loaded, I never live unloaded there, but getting loaded could be an all-day venture for 3 pieces. it could be a 2-day venture. Usually, either after you sat so long, they just take you off the load and give you another load, which you could sit there for 2 days waiting to get loads. So this is really going to mess up the ease of this dedicated, because now something tells me you're going to be doing your 10-hour break, sitting, getting unloaded. Something also tells me now you're going to have appointment times to deliver. Something also tells me because of all that, instead of doing the 7 loads a week I'm doing, it's probably going to drop it down to about 4, maybe 5 loads a week. Which means money's going to go into the toilet. So this dedicated probably just went into the toilet. We'll see. We'll have to see how it plays out. Maybe there'll only be maybe there won't be very many live unloads. Maybe it'll just be a few. We'll see. Like, comment, subscribe. Trucking with David H on Facebook. Thanks for watching.